feeling worthy is directly related to the way we modeled love from our parents. So when we look at that, we're able to see more how we think of ourselves and whether we think we're enough or not. Welcome back to another video. My name is Aaron and I help people expand their consciousness. Now in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you the importance of understanding your view of worthiness, understanding some of the things that may have happened in the past, and how that models the way that you show up in the world, the way that you give love, and the way that you receive love. And this is really about understanding, like I said in the intro, the parents' love. And it's so important to understand because feeling 100% worthy, love, whole and complete, has directly implications and impact on that of your money, how much money you're able to attract into your life, how much money you feel worthy of, that you deserve, your love and relationships, the kind of partner that you attract into your life, and your health, what you think you are deserving of, and what kind of standards you set yourself when it comes to your own worthiness. So feeling worthy, whole, and complete is all about understanding our model of the world for love and how we relate to it. Now, for myself, I am somebody that had that of a, you may have heard my past before, but between 7 and 15 years old, I had an abusive stepmom in my life. 15 years old came around, my dad divorced her. But during that 7-year period, my brother and I had zero freedom. We weren't allowed to go out with friends. We weren't allowed to really have friends at all. Him and I were normally locked out of the house doing chores. We'd drink water out of a hose. We were given a bowl of cereal in the morning, and at nighttime we were given a TV dinner, so we were both very malnourished. We'd get in trouble for everything, and my ex-stepmom was mentally, physically, and emotionally abusive. So between that period of my life, I've experienced a lot of pain. I've experienced a lot of always being in trouble and thinking that there was something wrong with me. And what happened is even after 15 years old comes around, my dad divorces my ex-stepmom. All of a sudden, my brother and I are allowed to watch TV, we're allowed to have friends, we're allowed to eat food, the kind of, enough food, and as much food as we want. But it was a very fun, freedom-filled time of our life. However, years after that, I was like 20, 21 years old, and I felt unworthy. I felt like I wasn't enough. And I realized that every girl, there was always a woman in my life that represented that level of control. After my ex-stepmom, the first girlfriend I had very jealous tendencies and was very much controlling me and wanted me to be a certain way. I was too loud, I was too obnoxious, I was too this, I was too that. And she was always trying to keep me in this little box, very similar to my ex-stepmom. And then after that, I within a week of breaking up with her, I was working at Nordstrom's and Women's Shoes. I got transferred to a better shoe department. I was working in BP shoes, which is like the low-end shoes. I got transferred to the salon shoes, the designer shoes. So I'm making more money. It's a commission-based job. However, the manager of that department was the same exact personality traits as my ex-stepmom. Now, she couldn't get away with physical or anything, but she was mentally, she would talk down to people. She for sure should have been fired way before when she was. However, the sense of worthiness that I had, subconsciously, that's what I expected from women because of that situation that I had. It was unconsciously running different aspects of my life. I felt like I wasn't worthy of controlling my own vision, my own destiny. I felt like somebody always had to tell me what to do. I was always talked down to, and it directly impacted my money, my love, and my health in many ways. And it was because I had this subconscious programming that was in there that said, I'm not enough. I'm not worthy. Now, here is the key to this whole entire process. And the biggest change in my life was when I looked at my past and I realized that my past led me to my spiritual awakening. It led me to going within, to questioning myself, to questioning these beliefs that I had. And that's exactly what our feeling of worthiness comes from. It comes from the stories we tell ourselves about who we are and the story we tell ourselves about our past, the things that happened to us. These stories are rooted in certain emotions that we felt in the past, and the emotions of not feeling worthy, of feeling controlled, of whatever emotion it might be. that goes directly into our sense of worthiness and how we show up in the world. Now, the interesting thing about this is it's completely on autopilot and we're never quite aware of it. I made a video yesterday and I kind of shared the experience I had talking to Victor. Many of you know Victor Otto, and he realized that the way he was taught love growing up was he was taught love from his parents because his parents were always very worried about him. Always very worried because he had a firecracker accident when he was like 7 or 8 years old. And it completely burned part of his body. It was very traumatic. It was definitely trauma. And his parents felt guilty for it. His parents felt like they probably could have done something. So that guilt probably went into Victor and him feeling guilty that it happened to him and that his parents felt guilty. But his mom used to tell him, I worry about you because I love you. Then his model for the world is that love equals worry. Love equals worry. So even now, he has this ideology. He's like, I want to be a great parent. But subconsciously, being a great parent to him means I have to worry about my kids. And he's had this reoccurring thing come up in his life where anytime he does something like plant medicine or he does something where he goes deep into meditation, he has this fear that something may happen to one of his kids. And he's like, where is this fear coming from? And for a year, the last whole entire year, it's like, what is this coming from? What does this mean? Why am I worried about this? Why there's this, I don't want this to happen. And there's this reluctancy to let go of control. And I was like, for the longest time, I was like, let go of control, let go of trying to understand it all, But then we had a very powerful realization. And that realization was that his parents worried nonstop about him growing up. And they associated that with love. That's how they showed him love. Worried about him all the time. And in the same way, he was modeling that towards his kids, not even knowing it. And it was his model for love. And now he's realizing he's unplugging a whole new world. The whole thing of what I'm sharing with you today is about becoming free of your rules and definitions about love. Your rules and definitions about love. Becoming free of it. Because he had rules and definitions about love that I love my kids, but the medium for doing that is through worrying about them and always making sure they're okay and controlling different aspects of their life and how people perceive of his kids and all of this stuff. Because he doesn't want them to go through pain. Very compassionate of them, but now he's becoming aware that he can become free of those rules. He could become, and those rules are also many times imparted into the identity. It was hard. I was like, well, who would you be without that worry? I was like, I don't even know. I'd have to really think about it. Who would I be without believing that control was worthiness, or that I'd be controlled to be worthy, and that I wasn't worthy? Who would I be? And back in the day, I'd been like, I don't even know. You mean I don't have to do things to be worthy? I don't have to be a people pleaser because I'd always please my ex-stepmom? You see, this is the key to the process. Now, every one of us, we have this is a tabletop right here. Our beliefs work like a tabletop. We have this underlying core belief. So let me show you. There might be this core belief that says, I'm not enough. I am not enough. This is a core belief that most people have at some level. Now imagine that this is a big, skinny table. There we go. There we go. Big, skinny table. I am not enough. Now what happened is sometime in the past, we had a certain reference experience, which is this right here. Reference experience, memory, something that happened that developed one of these legs. And in the moment, we gave it a meaning that said, I'm not enough. There was this thing that happened. Maybe a parent said something to you that made you feel unworthy. Could have been something small. Could have been you wanted your dad to pass the mashed potatoes. I do that. I say that. I always use that analogy. And you wanted to ask, but they said, children are meant to be seen and not heard. And you said, I don't matter. So you have this thing that says, I don't matter. And then something else happened where you were, with your first relationship that you had with a partner relationship when you were younger, with the boy or girl. And you may have had them break up with you. And then you said, I'm not enough. And then something else that said, I'm not enough. And there's these couple experiences that happened where we gave certain things meaning that said, I'm not enough, that was underlined with I'm not enough, with these little meanings. And the thing is there's stories around this one premise idea of I'm not enough. They're all stories. They're stories we tell ourselves about who we are. And these stories remain on autopilot until we question them. Now, the key to us feeling love is not developing a belief that says, I am love, I am love, I am love. That is not the key. And you can say it all you want. You can say the affirmations, and that can be powerful. But the key is just untangling the current rules you have about love. So imagine you have rules about love. And imagine that some of those rules, many times they're external rules, by the way. So for example, love to me, so first off, love for Victor was worry, not knowing it. And one of those rules about love was maybe I got to always ask my kids questions to make sure they're always okay. I got to always worry about where they are and what they're doing. These are rules, and it's like, okay, well, now, and how would he know that he was loved? Well, maybe there's some rule that he has to constantly get affirmation from his wife or something like that. I'm not saying that's true. I'm just saying, what if it was? Now, for me, what if I had rules about love? I was like, I will give myself permission to feel love once when I'm making these videos and every comment I see is positive. So I have, okay, every comment has to be positive. That's outside of me. Another rule about love is people have to constantly tell me they love me. Friends, family, have to constantly text me. That's another rule about love. And all these rules make it impossible for us to feel love because we set such a high standard. And in the same way, those are externally validating rather than knowing love comes from within. We are the source of love. Think about this. We're right here. Can you see that? Yes, so we're right here. We want to be in a relationship with someone else. Talking about worthy, whole, and completeness. We say and look at someone else, and what we do is we say, oh, if this person was my life, I'd feel so much love. So what we do is eventually we might be in a relationship with this person, and what might happen is then they see us in a certain way. We then feel that love from them because they're seeing us in a certain way. We're looking at them, and they've met our rules. We have a rule that says when I'm in a relationship, then I feel loved. And then we're feeling love, but the key is, that the funny thing is that love was inside of us the whole time. It's just we have a rule that once we're in a relationship, then we can feel love. If I'm in a relationship, then I'll feel love. In the beginning, that's how it is too. And then what happens? As that relationship goes on, it's like, if this person takes out the trash, if this person does this, if this person says this to me, if this person doesn't go out with their friends, all of these things. Can you still see me? Kind of? Let me maybe move this a little bit. But you see, that's the thing. Is we have all of these rules about what it takes for us to feel love. And these rules limit us from actually feeling that love. There you go, it's better lighting right now. So, what rules do you have? And my goal with helping you is helping you become free of your rules, not developing new rules. And yes, you can eventually develop the new rules of being loved, but you realize that you are loved because you are source. It's your nature of who you are. And then what you do, and what I recommended and I was talking to Victor about, was stepping outside and catching yourself every time you start to feel unworthy. And knowing that that was the past version of you. And when you do that, you then start to distance yourself from the old identity, the old way of being, the old stories, the old rules. So for me, I would look at myself and be like, Aaron used to need validation from people, wanted everyone to like him. Aaron, that was not Aaron, that was Aaron. When I see that, then what I can do is start acting from a new level of identity, and I can start doing things and filling up my own cup. Take more time for self-love. I can change certain meanings. You want to know what really changed the meaning for me recently? As the YouTube channel has grown, I receive a lot more love, and then I also receive a little bit more hate. It's part of growth, right? I had these conflicting ideologies. On one hand, I want to grow and spread the message, and on the other hand, I don't want to experience people that don't like me. If they don't like me, then I'm not enough. But what I did is I changed the story to myself, and I realized, well, actually, if there's more people that don't like the content, then what that means is I'm actually reaching more people. I'm reaching people that normally wouldn't even be open to this content. Yes, I didn't get as much negative response when I was at, 50,000 subs, but that's because it's a much smaller audience. The bigger mass you go, the more you get a mix. That's a good thing. I'm reaching more people. So that immediately that changed. And also there's no rule that says that everyone has to love me. That was Aaron, you see. And then I start acting from this new level of identity. I start being who I prefer to be. I start being, in a way, unapologetically myself. I start being just integrity with myself, and I start just expressing ideas the way I want, making videos about things I want to make videos about. I fill up my own cup. I focus on the love within myself. I do meditations that help me to feel that love as well. And if you haven't seen yet, what I'm talking about to heal these little legs is by something called completing the past. And one of the most popular meditations on my channel is a meditation for completing the past and feeling 100% worthy, whole, and complete. It's extraordinarily powerful. You can read the comments to see what's possible. I'll go ahead and link it in the top of the description box. That will help you to feel 100% worthy, whole, and complete, and to drop the stories that you have about love and the rules you have about what it takes for you to feel love. So listen to that meditation for 21 days. Watch what happens. Other than that, as always, peace, much love, and namaste.